In the headlines, Prime Minister Scarrett refutes opposition claims he fails to consult on key constitutional appointments. A plea from head of government's quarantine facility for those in their care to observe protocols and stop abusing frontline workers. And a growing number of Dominica's young people wearing eyeglasses. I'm Andrea Louis with the Channel 5 News, back with the details after this.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid, but there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. We're in this together. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts, with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
Thank you for staying with us. First up, continued support to Dominica during the hurricane season by one of its international partners. Julian Morris tells us more.
ISRA aid arrived in Dominica shortly after Hurricane Maria 3 years ago and still maintains its presence here, helping with community resilience, building disaster risk reduction and health hygiene projects. Head of programs with ISRA Aid Dominica, Felicia Pierce, says the most recent project by the organization is a collaboration with the Ministry of Education to launch a hurricane preparedness activity book.
It focuses on resiliency building, hurricane preparedness themes, and also coping mechanisms for family. How the book goes is that we compile a bunch of resources, guidelines, best practices on how a family can prepare for an emergency, such as a hurricane, and what they can do in the aftermath, and also how you can help kids cope in a time of crisis, such as a hurricane.
The book takes on a different format to be distributed by the Ministry of Education soon. It is expected the Hurricane Preparedness Activity Book will reach a large section of the population.
This book, the format is to be disseminated online. The ministry will be doing an official launching of the book, so you can be able to access it on the government website, the ministry's page, and also ISRA's page, ISRA Dominica.
Acknowledging there is already a lot of hurricane-related information in the public domain, Pierce says the activity book is different in that it is interactive and family-oriented.
This book is really a tool that compiles everything from different areas, and it focuses on different target groups. So you will have different messages just generally out in the open that is focused on families, or it's focused on parents, or it's focused on kids. But the activity book really brings it all together, and it combines it in an interactive way. So you'd have different activities where parents can sit with their children to explain, what is a hurricane, what to do in the event of a hurricane coming, that really fosters, family relationships and bonds with families. So it's really a one-stop shop for everything you need to know about hurricane, and also how you can help your family cope with stress, and also some psychosocial support themes.
In more top stories, an outreach program to inform the nation on parliamentary proceedings on the cards for House Speaker Joseph Isaac. Mr. Isaac says the public should be more involved in the events which go on in the House of Assembly and should hold accountable those who were elected to represent them.
All matters that would redound to the benefit of the public, I think the public need to be aware. It's not just vote a person and then they go to the House and you don't know what they're doing on your behalf. And we have to, and that's where the issue of benchmarking comes. Where, for example, how do we benchmark ourselves versus regional parliamentarians? How do we benchmark ourselves versus members of Commonwealth, for example, in the UK? How are they performing relative to how we are performing as parliamentarians?
To this end, Isaac has committed to working with local media in developing an outreach program from which the wider public can benefit.
One of the things that I will be looking into is really how we can work, for example, with the media. We look at one website, also the media use GIS, DBS, the different radio stations to really reach out to the general public so people can be acquainted with what is really happening in the House, the rules, and what are the decisions where certain parliamentarians stand on certain matters, also the issue of attendance.
As regards the Public Accounts Committee, Mr. Isaac says a recent seminar on parliamentary etiquette should help with the future performance of that committee.
The issue that, for example, that the Public Accounts Committee cannot meet because of the lack of audited statement, that the panelists indicated that that is not necessarily true. The Public Accounts Committee can meet. Also, key to that is that the parliamentarians and the members of the Public Accounts Committee is really a committee of parliament, and therefore public officers really don't have a prerogative as to if they come to discuss with members of the Public Accounts Committee. Under the Constitution, they really have to. As a matter of fact, they shall.
In other developments, Prime Minister Skerrit has refuted claims that he has failed to consult the parliamentary opposition in filling key constitutional appointments. Opposition leader Lennox Linton says he was not consulted on the appointment of the acting police chief Lincoln Corbett and his deputy chief of police Davidson Valerie. The Prime Minister says part of the problem has to do with the opposition leader's approach, which is unlike that of his predecessors.
I have had the good fortune of consulting several leaders of the opposition in Dominica. Mr. Edison James, Mr. Earl Williams, Mr. Ron Green, Honorable Hector John, and currently the current leader of the opposition. Did you ever hear Mr. James say that I did not consult him on key constitutional posts? No. Did you ever hear Earl Williams say so? No. Did you ever hear Ron Green say so? No. And in these three instances, these three gentlemen opted for consultation by telephone. So I can tell you Mr. James' number up until today, though I have not consulted with him for many years now, because I would call his phone, and I would consult Mr. James on the matter. He would ask me some questions, but what about this person? And I would tell him, well, boy, that person, the troublesome person, and he would say, well, boy, I must talk to this guy. And I recall when I was going to appoint Gerald Kozlatic as the Deputy Chairman of the Public Service Commission, at the time, Gerald Kozlatic was the president of my party, the DLP. And he said to me, boy, Skerrit, you sure you want to put Gerald, the president of your party, as the Deputy Chairman? And I reflected upon this, and I called Gerard the following day. And I gave Gerard an offer. I said, look, if you want to stay on the commission, you have to resign as the president of the party. And so we agreed that he would demit office as president of the party and remain on the commission. And I would consult Mr. Edison James and Ron Green and, and Mr. Williams. And they would ask me questions about the constituency. They make demands on the constituency. And I would respond to them because, hey, let's face it, this is the leader of the opposition. If a prime minister is engaging, there's a certain level of respect that you have to offer to the leader of the opposition. If a leader of the opposition asks me for something, I can't say no to him. I mean, you know. And then so with these people, you never heard anything about I'm not consulting them. Then Mr. Hector John accepted to be consulted in person. So the Secretary of the Cabinet would write to Mr. John, inviting him to a meeting to consult with the Prime Minister. So he would come to my office, he would sit on the couch, I sit there, and he would ask questions and so forth, and we would provide this. The current leader of the opposition is more contentious, and he has taken a different route of consultation where he wants to be written to. So I write him a letter and give an opportunity to respond. But Mr. Linton must understand that consultation is what it is, consultation. It is not your decision to make.
But when you do that consultation, PM?
No, but you're right. He has accepted to be written to. So if I write to you...
At what point in time?
Doesn't matter what point in time. The point is, he's written to. Right. And if I have been a Prime Minister for all these years, and I have consulted the most leaders of the opposition in any period in our history, and we have never had this issue.
You are watching the Channel 5 News. Stay tuned for more after the break.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD, all for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid. But there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. We're in this together. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
Welcome back. An increased demand for reading glasses among Dominica's young people. Julian Morris has that story.
This is among the observations of consultant ophthalmologist Dr. Hazel Shillingford-Ricketts on World Sight Day on Thursday. World Sight Day 2020 is being recognized under the theme Hope in Sight. Consultant ophthalmologist Dr. Hazel Shillingford-Ricketts says World Sight Day brings into focus the several diseases which can affect the eye.
We chose in the Caribbean cataracts, which is a leading cause of blindness, diabetic retinopathy, glaucoma, childhood blindness, and refractive errors as the 5 main areas that we would be focusing on. And refractive errors, people don't realize almost half of the people with vision problem is because they just need a pair of glasses. It is actually the leading cause of vision impairment. And so in this day and age where there is increased demand for your sight, you need to optimize, you need to improve your vision as much as possible. And so you need glasses.
Dr. Ricketts points out that advancements in technology have led to increased use of and strain on the human eye, which is reflected in the number of individuals who need glasses.
We also find now with the increased use of computers and near work, an increasing number of our children are becoming very nearsighted where they need glasses. So it is increasing the demand for glasses. Also, we know when persons reach about the age of 40, they cannot focus for reading as well, and they find they will have to be pushing their book further away from them for them to see the print. And now with everybody using their phones, and so the need is actually increased. The need has increased for person coming in for glasses.
Efforts are ongoing for continued education and awareness on the importance of eye care and the impact of overall health on the eye.
We have a few days in the year that we use. So like in March, we will have World Glaucoma Week. And we use this opportunity to educate the public about another blinding disease called glaucoma. Actually, more of our emphasis now is on the prevention of diabetes as a means of reducing blindness. So if you don't get diabetes, you will not get diabetic retinopathy and you will not go blind.
Supervisor of Government's quarantine facility has issued a call for greater cooperation by those in government quarantine. The greatest challenge faced by staff at the facility is the non-compliance with the quarantine protocol by some individuals.
Always wear your mask when being approached by health personnel or other individuals. Please do not enter in each other's room. We do get positive results at the facility. Your contact with someone whose PCR result is positive, rest assured, will lengthen your stay at the facility. So I repeat, do not enter in each other's room or socialize at the facility.
While family members of those in quarantine can drop off meals for loved ones, the visitor is not allowed inside.
Do not put your family at risk unnecessarily by asking them to visit you at the quarantine facility. They will not be given permission to enter the facility. the best decision is to ensure that when coming to quarantine, individuals bring about at least a week supply of items that they would be in need of. And remember, when anything is coming to quarantine, it is also subject for search by the police. The facility staff is there to support you while you are at the government quarantine facility. Please do not verbally abuse or threaten them. Remember, minor must be accompanied by an adult. We at the quarantine facility, we solicit the cooperation of individuals coming to Dominica, and we encourage that persons become familiar with the guidelines in the effort towards keeping Dominica safe and COVID-free.
And Prime Minister Skerrit says the United States can do a lot more in terms of improving its relations with countries in the Caribbean region. Skerrit says the Reagan and Clinton administrations are examples to how the U.S. could continue meaningful cooperation with the region.
I think that there has to be mutual respect. I think the U.S. has to recognize that the Caribbean is a sincere partner. Dominica is a sincere partner. We have supported the United States on many issues, international issues. There are some things that we don't agree with, and not necessarily don't agree with them on, but we don't agree with them with the approach that they take on certain things. And in the Caribbean and the Western Hemisphere is this region that we have particular knowledge that they may not have on how to deal with particular issues or concerns to them. And I've said so to them, and they know that. But I think we need to, the United States has to upgrade its relationship with the Caribbean. It can certainly do more. Even in security, they have been very helpful in security. In Dominica's case, we have been very grateful for the support of the United States government over time, with the U.S. Security Basin Initiative. But I've always said to my American friends, to the presidents who I've met, the secretaries of state, members of Congress, U.S. representatives, that they need to study a little closer the relationship which the Caribbean had at the time of President Reagan, removing the intervention in Grenada. But look at the relationship which we had there. It was excellent.
Skerrit believes access to U.S. markets is another key factor which can make a huge difference.
We will need to have access to the U.S. markets duty-free. I mean, we have been certainly very loyal to the United States on this, and we would like them to have this duty-free access into the United States markets. Because we import a lot from the United States in the Caribbean. So the trading balance is huge. I have also said to them that the issue of education, I mean, I always tell U.S. presidents, how can you tell me you can't give a country a scholarship? I mean, we talk about universities give scholarships, but I mean, all small countries of the world give countries scholarships. So, I'm a beneficiary of the U.S. government, and I remain eternally grateful to this in terms of my education and so forth in the United States. So we'd like to look at this. I think we need to have, as I said, a more comprehensive security arrangement that is more mutually beneficial to us. And of course, the U.S. has an Exim Bank. They have lots of money. They should allow businesses and governments in the region to have access to these vast resources.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid. But there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. We're in this together. This is a public service announcement from the Dominica Red Cross.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD. All for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
To end the news, the headlines again. Prime Minister Skerrit refutes opposition claims that he fails to consult on key constitutional appointments. A plea from head of government's quarantine facility for those in their care to observe protocols and stop abusing frontline workers. And a growing number of Dominica's young people wearing eyeglasses. Feel free to access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Andrea Louis. And to all of our viewers around the world, thank you so much for watching. Join us next time.